Hello friends, welcome back to Raghu Medical Coaching Classes. Friends, let us today discuss within this video under this ophthalmology playlist about the ocular therapeutics. So under this, I'll be discussing with you regarding the routes of administration of the drugs in the ophthalmology, what are antiviral drugs in the eye disorder, what is the newer anti-glaucoma drugs, their mechanism of action and all, corticosteroid in the ophthalmology, and cyclophagics, what are mydriatics, especially atropine, antivitreal drugs, not antiviral, it is antivitreal, what are antivitreal drugs, and timolol maleate, and about the myotics and the lasers application in the eye surgery. Okay, today we are going to discuss all these things within this video only, so please stay tuned. So coming to the routes of administration of the drugs in the ophthalmology. So the routes, what does that route mean? So route means that the way we apply the medicine. So whether we apply the ointment over the surface, it is called topical. When we give an injection in the muscle, it is called intramuscular. When we give within the vein, it is called intravenous. When you take a tablet orally, it is called oral administration. Okay, the same way in the ophthalmology we have a route of administration of the drugs. Okay, whether in the day-to-day life we use drops, eye drops, that is topical application. We use ointment, that is topical application. We use injection during the surgery, local anesthesia. Okay, bulbar within the bulbar within the eyes. Okay, beneath the eyes. Okay, peribulbar, and behind the eyes, that is called a retrobulbar. So we use bulbar way and subconjunctival during the surgery of the conjunctiva or during surgery of the cornea, laser surgery, and we use subconjunctival, we use bulbar injection, we use. Okay, these are the various route of administration, and even systemic administration is given to treat the eyes. Okay, during any kind of ocular surgery, enucleation is there, evisceration is there, so entire body is anesthetized. Okay, general anesthesia is administered while doing the eye surgery also. So this comes under the routes of administration of the drugs in the ophthalmology. So next comes is what are antiviral drugs in the eye disorder. So what are antiviral drugs? First, let us once again recap what is an viral diseases. Okay, what virus? The famously eye disease causing virus is the herpes virus. Okay, you get shingles, you get keratitis. Okay, along with the shingle, that is skin infection over your face, the herpes which is sexually transmitted. Okay, herpes zoster virus, which it causes keratitis. It causes what? Keratitis. Even the adenovirus causes the inflammation or the infection of the eye. At that time, what we have choice of the drugs? We have the acyclovir is the choice of the drug, which is an antiviral drug which comes in the ointment form, which comes in the eye drop form. It is administered during a viral infection or the dendritic keratitis, which is called as herpes infection causing keratitis. It is called dendritic keratitis as well. Okay, another drugs, what are this? There are trifluridine. Trifluridine, it is an antiviral drug for eye infection. Okay, trifluridine, acyclovir, and ganciclovir. Okay, ganciclovir, trifluridine, acyclovir. These are the three famous antiviral drugs which we use within the ophthalmology department for treating what? For treating the viral infection of your eyes. You understanding thing? Okay, trifluridine, acyclovir, ganciclovir. These are the antiviral drugs that are used within the ophthalmology to treat the viral infections. Next comes is what? The next comes is what are newer anti-glaucoma drugs. So what is a glaucoma? Increase in the increase in the aqueous humor. Okay, increase in the intraocular pressure. It is this term is termed as anti-glaucoma. The term for the what does anti-glaucoma refers? Anti-glaucoma refers to increase intraocular pressure that is more than 21 mm Hg. How you will measure? You will measure with tonometer. Okay, this thing is clear for you. Now, what are anti-glaucoma drugs? Traditionally, we used timolol, which is a beta blocker. We should come to that thing later on. So, glaucoma now it is treated by using prostaglandin analogs, and their name is like dorzolamide, which is a carboxy anhydrase inhibitor, and one more is latanoprost. This reduces the production of the aqueous humor by the ciliary body. The main mechanism of this newer anti-glaucoma drug is to reduce the production of the aqueous humor by the ciliary body and increase the flow of the aqueous humor from the traditional pathway, that is through the trabecular measure. So what this new anti-glaucoma drug include? The new anti-glaucoma drug include dorzolamide. So remember, dorzolamide and latanoprost is the prostaglandin analog, while dorzolamide is a carbonic anhydrase inhibitor. Okay, dorzolamide and latanoprost. These are the two drugs which are famously used, and it is FDA approved now, which is used as an anti-glaucoma, newer anti-glaucoma drugs. Now next comes is corticosteroid in the ophthalmology. So what are the corticosteroids in the ophthalmology used? Especially prednisolone, dexamethasone. Okay, these are the famously used and drugs other than hydrocortisone and all. The famously used is dexamethasone and prednisolone acetate. This is used as a famous drugs in treating the inflammation of the eye. Okay, but there are some conditions where we should not use this corticosteroid which are in ophthalmology. At what condition? Whenever there is fungal infection, we are not supposed to use. It aggravates the fungal infections. And whenever there is viral infection, herpes infection is there, we should not use the corticosteroid. Why? Because the steroid not only stops the inflammation, but it is also an immunosuppressive. It depresses the macrophages, depresses the phagocytes within the eye tissues. So because of this, there is an aggravation or exaggeration of the viral infection and the fungal infection. So whenever the patient is with the fungal infection or is having the dendritic keratitis, that is the viral infection, herpes infection is there, so we are not supposed to use the corticosteroid, that is dexamethasone or prednisolone. Drops should not be used. Okay, NSAIDs must be used. Whenever the patient is diabetic, okay, whenever the patient comes with an ophthalmic manifestation but he is a diabetic patient, you are not supposed to use the steroid. Any steroid and any patient who is with the diabetes and hypertension, don't use corticosteroids. Any hydrocortisone, prednisolone, dexamethasone, beclomethasone, okay, what are the sounds, okay, don't use that thing in a sugar patient. Remember throughout your lifetime that sugar patient should not be given steroids, okay, because it exaggregates, it increases the hyperglycemic level, it increases the sugar level within the blood. Okay, so never use you go on the steroid for the sugar patient and the BP patient. Never ever do that. And next thing, the contraindication. Sometimes the cataract, if he is having the patient having the cataract, okay, he should not be treated with the prednisolone or dexamethasone. Never ever do that, because it exacerbates the cataract condition. It even increases if he has only the peripheral part of the lens has been cataracted. Okay, it is affected with the opacity, it has become opaque. Then if there are chances that it may it has some time, still the person has a time to develop fully cataract. So never ever do an experiment or give this steroidal therapy to the patient who is having the cataract. Never ever do that, okay, because it exacerbates the cataract condition. And even the patient with the glaucoma condition should not be used the steroids. Glaucoma should not be treated with the steroids. Only NSAIDs are supposed to be used in the glaucoma condition as well. Okay, remember this. Now, what are the indications when we should use that? Corticosteroid. What are the indications of the usage of the steroids? The corticosteroid should be used in the case of bacterial infection. Trichomonas infection will be there, Pseudomonas infections will be there, and even keratitis, uveitis, conjunctivitis is there, bacterial. Okay, if it is there, pus forming is there. At that time, you can go for using the corticosteroid solutions to stop the inflammation. Fine. Now next comes on what is a cyclophagics. So now we are going to discuss about what are cyclophagics. So what does this cyclophagic mean? So cyclophagic, these are the drugs which paralyzes your eye muscle. What eye muscles are? And not the orbital muscle, eye muscle. What are those? That ciliary muscle and the pupil. The pupil is paralyzed. When you put the torch on both the eyes, okay, it neither contracts, it neither dilates. It is paralyzed. It is called as cyclophagics. So what are the drugs that are present as a cyclophagics? That include atropine, okay, cyclophagics. You may write it down as well. So cyclophagic drugs include atropine, cyclopentolate, homatropine, scopolamine, and tropicamide. So once again I will repeat the cyclophagic drugs. One which paralyzes your ciliary muscle. Okay, ciliary muscle paralysis. It is a muscarinic receptor blocker. Okay, it stops the action of the acetylcholine. Which causes sympathetic action. Okay, it causes constriction of the pupil. Okay, and at that time we use cyclophagics to stop the action of the acetylcholine by blocking the muscarinic receptor. What are those? Those include atropine, cyclopentolate, homatropine, tropicamide, and scopolamine. Okay, these are the drugs that are usually used as a cyclophagic. So what are the indications for using the cyclophagic? When do we use? Whenever you do fundoscopic examination, okay, you want the pupil to be dilated, you want the pupil to be stay still. That time to check the retina, condition of the retina, to the entire posterior retina, macula or the optic disc, okay, to check the interior of whatever happening within your eyes, to check that thing we use and fundoscopy. So during fundoscopic examination especially we use cyclophagic. And even during the corneal abrasion, okay, surgery of the cornea is there. Okay, whenever there is abrasion of the cornea during the surgery, eye surgery, laser surgery, we use this cyclophagic, so that we correct the refractive errors properly, and we know the refractive errors completely. Means even during correction of the refractive errors, to know which refractive error the person has, we use the cyclopegics. Okay, so next comes is what are mydriatics. So there is a very least difference between this mydriatics and cyclopegic. So what is that? So mydriatics, what does this there is something called a D within this. Okay, mydriatic, dilation, mydriatic. So mydriasis referred to dilate the drugs which dilates, okay, dilates the pupil. This increases the size of the pupil. So how it increases the size of the pupil? By blocking the action of it causes the constriction. It causes the constriction of the ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles, whenever they constrict, the pupil get dilated. Okay, it causes the constriction of the pupil. And because of that, whatever the drugs, mydriatics drugs causes the dilation of the pupil. And you can see so many, again, the interior of the eye very much clearly during the fundoscopic examination. It is nothing but the cyclopegic. What are the examples? Again, the atropine, hematopine, scopolamine, tropicamin. These are the examples. So actually block the muscarinic receptor, and because of the sympathetic overactivity of the adrenaline which is naturally produced within our body, that causes the constriction of the ciliary muscles. Okay, it actually blocks the acetylcholine receptor, muscarinic receptor, and because of the sympathetic overactivity of the adrenaline naturally, it causes the constriction of the ciliary muscle, and because the ciliary muscle contract upward in its direction, the pupil get opened up. Okay, and we can see clearly the interior of the eyeball. So next comes the atropine. Again, the atropine may be used as a cyclopegic or it may be used as a mydriatic in the dilatation of the pupil during fundoscopic examination, and during the fundoscopic examination, even the corrective refractive errors treatment that can be used. So it was all about the mydriatics and the atropine together and the cyclopegics together. Okay. So next comes the what are antivitreal drugs. So what are antivitreal, not viral, vitreal or vitreal drugs, antivitreal drugs. Okay, so there is, because during the diabetic condition or during the hypertensive conditions, there is a neovascularization. Okay, retinal neovascularization, that is a small weak blood vessels or blood capillaries start proliferating within your within the retina at the macula and even within the vitreous. They start proliferating. Why it is dangerous? Because it will lead to edema of the eye. One thing, because the capillaries are big, they may rupture very easily. Because of the blood pressure, they cannot tolerate the blood pressure, and because of this, there is intravitreal hemorrhage. So to stop this thing, we give an injection within the vitreous humor, directly within the bulb of the eye. Okay, we give injection, intravitreal injection or intravitreal drugs are administered. This mainly include ranibizumab and sorafenib and bevacizumab. So these are so little bit tough things. So at least remember Avastin and Nexavar. So the brand name Avastin and Nexavar. These are the brand name. Okay, the component include ranibizumab, ranibizumab. I will be displaying the picture over here to understand what is the content. Bevacizumab, and sorafenib. Nexavar, the trade name is Nexavar or Avastin. You remember the trade name Avastin or Nexavar, and practice the component of it. Avastin and Nexavar, they are easy to even pronounce. These are usually an antivascular endothelial growth factor. Okay, and it may even act as an anti-cancer drug. These are usually antivascular endothelial growth factor. This targets the proliferating endothelial cells. Okay, and it inhibits the growth of the endothelial vascular endothelial cells. Vascular endothelial cells are targeted and they are inhibited. They are prohibited from the growth. So intravitreal drugs are used during the neovascularization. Okay, especially when it occurs during the diabetic retinopathy. Remember this thing. So next comes is the timolol maleate. So timolol maleate is a beta blocker. Again, the timolol maleate, why it is used? It is used as an anti-glaucoma drug traditionally. So what it does? So it does it restores the classical pathway of flow of the aqueous humor during the glaucoma through trabecular meshwork. It tenses. The beta blockers blocks the beta receptors. Okay, it blocks the beta receptor. Because of that thing, the ciliary muscles start contracting, and because of that thing, the trabecular meshworks are get tensed and they get opened up. Okay, and because of even the ciliary muscles or the ciliary body start producing less of the aqueous humor, and because of this, intraocular pressure is decreased. Okay, intraocular pressure is decreased. Timolol, it is mainly used, at least remember, timolol is an anti-glaucoma drug. It is used to decrease the intraocular pressure by inhibiting the formation of the aqueous humor and increasing the outflow of the aqueous humor through the trabecular meshwork that is present between the cornea and the iris, the small meshwork, lymphatic type meshwork. Okay, in the previous video I have already shown you where the trabecular meshwork is. Fine. Next comes the myotics. Again, the same thing. Myotics, these are the drug again used. This include myotics constrict your pupil. Okay, meiosis is nothing but the constriction of the pupil. When the constriction of the pupil will occur, whenever there is relaxation of your ciliary muscles are there, it droops down, the shutter droops down. Okay, ciliary muscles droops down. At that time, the meiosis occurs, the pupil get contracted. So, what are the drugs that can be used? Pilocarpine. Okay, pilocarpine. It is an analog of the acetylcholine. It directly stimulates the muscarinic receptor and start ciliary muscle contraction. Because of that thing, the shutter starts closing down. Okay, shutter starts closing down, and because of this thing, the meiosis happens. Okay, so this is the myotics. So next comes is the laser in the eye surgery. So lasers in the eye surgery, usually LASIK, that is laser assisted in situ keratomiliosis. Laser assisted in situ keratomiliosis is the laser surgery usually used to reshape the cornea. The cornea is curved shape. Whenever it is, the curvature is inappropriate, it is deteriorated. At that time, what we use LASIK surgery. It is a famously used surgery that for treatment of the refractive errors. Okay, to correct the refractive errors, we use the LASIK surgery. So it is famously used. What is LASIK? Laser assisted in situ keratomiliosis. So what kind of refractive error? Myopia, presbyopia, astigmatism, okay, hypermetropia. We can all treat this kind of refractive error through laser surgery. So this was all about the therapeutic ocular therapeutics chapter. So within this video, so I would like to ask you to answer all the questions, in the comment section below, and so that it will be a revision for you, and it will be helpful for you for recognizing the things again, and it will be a practice for you. So I really I wish you to like and subscribe to my channel and share my channel if you really like my videos. So till then, now let me close this video now. So till then, take care, bye.